Brendan.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And what an amazing contribution from the member for Denison, the man who claimed to all Australians that he was the most influential member of the lower house for the years 2010 to 2013, where he said he was going to do great things for our state and great things for our country. He's made a compelling case on a number of the issues that we are concerned about as Tasmanian MPs. Why didn't you, Mr Wilkie, member for Denison, do anything about it for the 3 years that you were the most, apparently, according to yourself, the most powerful man in this country? You did nothing. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, just about on every single...
Do you have a point of order?
Point of order, Deputy Speaker. I don't think any good comes from the government verbally me.
That's not a point of order.
I have never said what he has claimed I said.
It's not a point of order.
Well, again, we've got the member for Denison taking this holier than thou, that he's the only respectable member in this chamber and everyone else is riffraff. Well, Mr Deputy Speaker, let me get back to the point. On just about every indicator, every single social, economic indicator, the Rudd-Gillard-Rudd governments, coupled with the Tasmanian Labor-Greens coalition, they failed my state. Unemployment levels up, education levels down, and budgets on both fronts in massive deficit. Of all the failures of those two governments, including the federal government, the Coastal Trading Act was perhaps the most effective in assisting the former government in hog-tying the Tasmanian economy. Shipping is the lifeblood of the Tasmanian economy, and when shipping works, the Tasmanian economy works. When shipping fails, the Tasmanian economy fails. Now, there's a press release here just a few weeks ago from the Maritime Union of Australia, where it says, we're urging the Abbott government to protect Australian jobs. They should rewrite that. What they're urging the Abbott government is to protect their jobs. Their jobs. Now, at the end of the day, we have a job as a government to protect all jobs. We don't protect one sector of the economy, 10 jobs here, but cost 50 jobs there. If you come to my state and you go around my electorate and talk to manufacturers, they have been shedding jobs now for years and years and years. But what this government did was put in place the productivity report. It is, member for Franklin, a complex matter, and we are working very diligently on it. But under the previous Labor government, coastal shipping reforms, shipping companies were loaded down with bureaucracy and red tape. The need for endless permits, coupled with union protectionism, effectively ran the shipping industry into the ground, costing jobs and increasing costs to consumers and exporters. Yes, it saved some jobs, the jobs that obviously count to the Australian Labor Party, but in my electorate, in my state, it has cost hundreds of other jobs. So what you're really saying on the other end of this chamber is it's okay to protect these jobs, and we'll do whatever we have to do through legislation, but at the cost of hundreds of other jobs, which obviously don't count. Now, Labor's coastal shipping reforms, Deputy Speaker, are really a throwback to the old Labor new protectionist platform of the early 1990s. Just 49 million tonnes of coastal freight was loaded in 2012-13. 5 years earlier, it was over 59 million tonnes. And over the period 2010 to 2030, Australia's freight task is expected to grow by 80%. While the national road and rail component is projected to double, coastal shipping movements are only expected to grow by a mere 15%. Now, these sort of figures won't surprise anyone, not least the Labor Party or the member for Grainler who will be in the chamber to wrap up this debate, because they knew exactly what they were doing when they introduced this backward-looking reform. They knew that by implementing their union protectionist policies, overloading shipping companies with red tape and requiring permit after permit to ship goods around the country, that it would cost the industry billions of dollars. It would increase the cost of goods to consumers, it would cost jobs, and it would hurt the Tasmanian economy. But you pressed ahead regardless. You pressed ahead regardless of the damage that it was going to wreak on every single business that relies on shipping, not only in this country, but in particular the state of Tasmania, including businesses in my electorate. In December 2010, the then Shadow Minister for Transport, the Honourable Warren Truss, said, "This change would immediately take us back to the bad old days where companies wanting to ship product around Australia would have to wait weeks and sometimes months for an Australian-flagged and crewed vessel to become available." Sadly, Mr Deputy Speaker, the now Deputy Prime Minister's prediction that it will be cheaper and simpler to import products from Asia, the United States and even Europe than it will be to move them from one port to another in Australia. It will be more attractive to process Australian raw materials overseas than to ship them to an Australian port. He was spot on, and it's cost Tasmanian producers, manufacturers and small businesses money and jobs.
Time has expired.